Good morning, everyone. They are the true inheritors. Sheikh Ahmad Ali Khan waited throughout his life. No one came to him. It was a time when Muslim influence was waning, British rule was gaining more and more strength, the political and the religious texture of the country was changing. That has started from Hazrat Mazhar Mir Jane Jana Razillah Ta'ala. And the masters that came in after him continued to flow through that. So when it was time for Khalifa Sahab Maulana Fazl Ahmad, Maulana Ahmad Ali Khan to leave the world, he called his chief disciple of Khalifa, Maulana Fazl Ahmad Khan. Maybe my master has seen you in me, and this forecast is for you. You take note of this and be ready. These will come to you. Maulana Fazl Ahmad Khan used to live in Farrukhabad, which is the district couple miles from the place Fatehgarh where Lalaji and Chachaji were born. He was teaching Urdu and Arabic in a small school. So he has rented a place, rented a room, and where he used to stay. Lalaji was working as well as he was studying. So he also rented a room in the same compound to continue his studies. So in order to reach to his room, Lalaji has to pass in front of Maulana Fazl Ahmad Khan. And each time when Lalaji used to pass in front of Maulana Fazl Ahmad Khan, he is always waiting for him at the doorstep. And Lalaji used to pay respect to him. When you are, even if you pass in front of the master, pay respect also, the energy flows towards you from him. It is like, can you move in the sun and be not affected by the light and the warmth of the sun? Just going under the sun, its warmth and light will reach you. The light and the warmth will be felt by the skin, and through the skin it will reach to the entire system of the body. The subtle energy of the master works something like that. It all depends how respectful you are in paying your regards to him. So it continued. But there was no verbal communication between the two. Maulana Fazl Ahmad Khan will wait at his doorstep. Lalaji passes in front, as was the courtesy when you see an elderly person. Now we have become quite uncourteous. We walk on the street, we see people, we never wish one another. This I have found something very good in Trinidad, in the country where I live. You are walking on the street, a stranger walks, passes by you. Maybe he says it mechanically, good morning. And when you say, and the words emerge out of your heart, that means it is emerging out of respect. It creates a deep connection. And it happened one day. There was thunder and lightning. It was cold winter night, hailstorms, thunder and lightning. Maulana Fazl Ahmad Khan knew that this person will be coming in that state of thunder and lightning. The distance between Fatehgarh and Farrukhabad was of almost a couple miles. That distance he used to cover by walking. In that state, without an umbrella, Lalaji came towards his room, passed in front of Maulana Fazl Ahmad Khan. As he was soaked to the skin. Seeing him in that state, with awe, the master said, so much rain and thunder, and you are still here, my son. Go inside, change your clothes. In the meantime, I will prepare the fire to keep the body warm. Lalaji followed the instructions and he went inside, changed his clothes. In the meantime, the master has prepared the fire and two of them sat on the same bed, which is knitted, not like the mattress that we have in the West now. It was knitted with jute. On that you spread a thin mattress or a comforter, and two of them sat down and you used the same blanket to cover both of them. They remain in that state. How long they remained? As if time had stopped, and with that the rain and the storm also passed. After this, the Sheikh instructed Lalaji to go back home. As he was going, he felt as if the sky and the earth are merging into one another. He was in a different state of awareness. He went home without having to eat anything. He went to sleep. Early morning around 4 o'clock, he had a vision. And in the vision he saw a throne descended from the sky, on which there were seated couple masters. In the middle was an elderly person. He descended. Lalaji and Maulana Fazl Ahmad Khan was standing. He presented Lalaji to that congregation of the masters, and Lalaji was instantaneously accepted. Tomorrow, Lalaji narrated that dream to the Sheikh. He raised his hands in supplication as the Sufis do. May it be so. My son, when I used to see you coming in front of me, used to pass in front of my room, and out of reverence you used to pay respect. My energy used to flow through you. Very rarely someone attains to this state that in first communion you have attained to this highest state. This was the first conscious communion between the two. The session continued like this. He was initiated. It is wrong to say that was initiated. He was bestowed the authority. Then his younger brother, Raghuber Dayal, who was 2.5 years younger to him, born on 7th of October 1875, he heard that his big brother is going to a master. He was very close to his sister-in-law. He went to her and complained. He said, "My brother has betrayed me. I have always followed his footprints. He went to the master on his own, but he never told me." Lalaji's concert expressed this complaint of Chachaji to him. And Lalaji went and he mentioned it to the Sheikh Maulana Fazl Ahmad Khan, and thus the two started going. Lalaji there are two stages according to Sufis. One is known as Jazb. Jazb means absorption. It is the heart is dominant, the heart center. The other is Suluk. When you come sit down in the company of Lalaji, what is the difference between the Jazb and Suluk? I will explain. In Jazb, when you sit down, the energy begins to flow so much that as if you feel that you have been covered with a blanket and given a good beating. The energy flows so strong that sometimes body finds it difficult to absorb. Such was the state of Chachaji. During the month of spring, Chachaji used to started the spiritual gathering in commemoration of the birth of his elder brother Lalaji, and then at his shrine. So spring season is almost like the winter is disappearing, but still it is cold. So his shrine is in outskirts in the city of Kanpur, in a compound. So the arrangements were made for us to gather there under the tents, and how we do the camping. So that's how the food and all these arrangements were made. In the night, there used to be a meditation that is known as 24 hours vigil, where everyone will go and spend an hour or so at the shrine doing the meditation or doing the Om Shanti, the Shanti part, the peace invocation. We are sitting on a mattress because it was a concrete floor, cold, a mattress covered with blanket. Breeze is blowing from all sides, surging through the skin, and as you sit down, within a few minutes, you realize the warmth, tremendous warmth. And when you get up, as if that the whole body has a pain. Such is the state of Jazb. In the beginning, it is very important. And the master said that first various stages of Jazb should be cleared. That includes the lower centers, the earth center, the water center, the fire center, and then you reach to the heart center. When all these things are cleared, then there is no danger of deviation. If the lower centers or the sex centers are not cleared, then there is every possibility of deviation. On the contrary, the suluk is that state you are sitting down, you do not even feel that the breeze, that's the energy is flowing, your eyes may be open, but you do not feel to talk to anyone. You just want to remain quiet by yourself. You are not talking, just sitting down. Eyes may be open, but kind of, if I put it here, the flower has blossomed, its fragrance is spreading. There's a mild fragrance is surging through the breeze and reaches you. The energy reaches through you very mild. One is very strong smell of the incense. The other is very mild. So suluk is that state. Lalaji was the master of suluk. Chachaji was the master of jazb. The two are important. That's why when we have the particular prayer which forms the part of this Naqshbandi Shajra, the nomenclature of the masters, but people have distorted the system in such a way to carry on their own works. Lalaji after Lalaji, this one and that one, and they completely, there is a ladder, and from the ladder you remove the certain, the steps. Can ladder remain complete? No. So certain systems have done that. To convert this into a Hinduism, to make it a Hindu path. It starts from Hazrat Payghambar sallallahu alaihi wasallam. After that, Hazrat Abu Bakr Siddiq raziyallahu ta'ala anhu, Hazrat Salman Farsi raziyallahu ta'ala anhu, whole chain of the 40 masters. But certain people, to convert it into, they have distorted the entire system. So it happened that there is a ladder, or there is a step taking you upstairs. A few of the steps got damaged for one reason or the other. Can you reach the top of the roof? No. But this is the misunderstanding that continues in various systems. So Lalaji and Chachaji started going in the company of the master. As I said, the moment Lalaji will come in the company of the Sheikh, the format of the congregation will change, will become more intense. When Chachaji reaches, everything becomes very soft, very flowing, humorous, and Chachaji used to narrate the jokes. That's how the love between Chachaji and Maulana Fazl Ahmad Khan continued until when he was initiated. Maulana Sheikh told Chachaji, up to now my and your relation was that of a little boy, child, father and child. I will not accept any disrespect for your elder brother. And this he maintained up to the last. People disrespected him, but he continued to go after Lalaji. Whereas certain other people who started their own shops, when they realized they did not get what they expected, that Lalaji will transfer his energy to them, they stopped going to the shrine of Lalaji after the 13th day ceremony of Lalaji. some of these simple teachings of Lalaji which I had mentioned. If you are walking with a cup full of water, another person is walking with a cup full of tea, and somehow or the other you are walking through the crowd and you get a push in the crowd. The person who is having tea in his cup, will water spill out of that? Or coffee will spill out of that? Certainly not. Only tea will spill out of that. And the one who is having water in the cup, water will spill out of that. So if I ask you, why did the tea spill out of you or the water spill out of you? You will say that I got pushed in the crowd and as a result it is spilled. It is wrong answer. It is the answer of an ignorant one. The correct answer is, whatever you has in your cup, that is what will spill. Your mind, your being is a cup that carries many subtle things. Whatsoever you have earned within, what will come out of your wallet? Whatever you have earned and whatever you have put into it. If you keep your cup, wallet empty and you reach to the shop, nothing will be there for you to use. You can have patience, deep understanding, silence, gratitude, certainty, humanity, grace, or you can have anger, jealousy, hatred, madness in you. Your cup may be filled with all these things. Whatsoever you have within you, that will spill there. Your effort should be, the entire teaching of the masters is to bring about transformation within. Everything is constantly moving. So is the inner state. And if you have that, nothing remains static. The day comes, it passes, one moment unfolds into the next, and some total of these moments becomes a minute, some total of minute becomes an hour, so on and so forth. There was an incident which Chachaji used to narrate. A philosopher came to Buddha and he came with an intention of having a dialogue with Buddha. Buddha told him, it's good that you have come, but do not ask these following 4 questions. I will answer any question that you ask me except these 4. The philosopher asked, what are these 4 questions? He said, do not ask me what is Brahma. What is Brahman? Do not ask me what is Atma. Do not ask me why there is creation. Do not ask me, is Atma Brahman? These are the basic questions that form the edifice of philosophy. When you are seeking the answer to these questions, you are entering into the realm of philosophy. The philosopher said these are the most important questions that form the basis of entire dialogue. If I do not have to ask these questions, then there can be no dialogue. And if I am not to ask these questions, then what is there to ask? What is Brahman if I am not to ask, then what to ask? If I am not to ask what is Atman, then what to ask? Why is there creation? It cannot be answered. It cannot be answered what is Brahman, what it is composed of, what it is qualities. Nothing can be answered. But certainly you can attain to that state. The philosopher said these are the important questions that form the basis of any dialogue. And if I am not to ask these questions, then what else to ask? Buddha said, you can ask me how to come out of sorrow. Not what is the cause of sorrow. How to come out of the sorrow. You have already attained to this state of inner disturbance. How to come out of that? Sorrow generated by ego, I will answer. Because sorrow is always generated by your ego sense, by your lack of ignorance, is generated because of your ignorance, lack of experience of awareness. You can ask how to come out of sorrow. Sorrow that is generated by ego, I will answer. I'll give you the medicine, the way to overcome sorrow or physical or mental afflictions. But do not ask me those questions. What will you gain by arguments? You want to win the argument because of greed. Also you have the pain of loss. If you lose the argument, there is pain. But I hit the delicate point in that philosopher. The philosopher replied, I know much about the scriptures. There is nothing that I do not know. Yet still I have not been able to overcome the scripture. I had been doing all kinds of yoga, yet still there is disturbance. Yet still there is greed. Yet still there is anger for anything that is not happening according to my choice. Anger comes in. I feel that I have been in a prison. Jealousy is there in abundance. There is greed too. The fear of loss as well. Guide me to attain the state of desirelessness. Guide me to attain to the state of desirelessness. During this period of Ramadan that has just passed, during this period of inner sojourn, let us look within. If there is anger, instead of doing other things, yoga, reading the scriptures, doing your rituals, look within if there is anger, if there is fear of loss, if there is jealousy, if there is hatred, if there is desire to gain, greed of any kind. If any of such things are there, then your inner or spiritual journey has not yet begun. First, you have to accept that you have gained nothing. Despite doing this ritual or that, you have not gained anything as yet. Inner harmony and peace is the only gain worth, unless you acknowledge that these things, anger, hatred, jealousy, exist within. No solution is possible, and there is no way for your inward journey to continue. Live your life simple as a witness. Be a light unto yourself. Look within your mind for all those that are causing inner disturbance. Be a witness to all those impressions, those vikars that constantly rob you of your inner serenity. Without knowing the sickness, you cannot find a treatment. The cause of your sickness is different from the symptoms. We look at the entire medical science is based on symptoms, not the cause. The so-called masters, they go on the symptoms. They will give you the verses of Bhagavad Gita, they will give you rituals to do. Look within if you have compassion. Compassion for the neighbor. If you have love for that, are you guided by that or your own anger, hatred, jealousy or other things? Another incident, another dialogue he used to narrate. Once Buddha was sitting on the bank of the river in sojourn. A philosopher of the time who was named as Mahakashyap came, who was afterwards, after initiation, was giving the name of Mahakashyap, one of the most beautiful monk, disciple of Buddha, out of whom the Zen meditation began. Buddha was sitting on the bank of the river. He came and asked certain questions. You say that these rituals, these scriptures, all these things are futile. There is no need for these. And the importance has been given to follow all these things in the scriptures. This is theoretical. The practical aspect is totally different. Buddha did not answer the question. Instead, the master answers the question with an example. You want always a philosophical answer? Master gives only he answers the questioning mind. He does not answer your question. And you want a direct answer to your question, which is not possible. The master answers your questioning mind. The mind that keeps on generating, that is the furnace, that is the factory to generate the questions, where questions are generated one after the other. Because why will continue. If you ask what is this, if you ask who is taoshobuddha, nothing can satiate you. You will enter into the field of philosophy. If your question is changed, what is taoshobuddha? Then you enter into a different realm that can help you to transform yourself. So Buddha said, this is the river. If you want to cross this river, what you have to do? He wanted the answer to emerge from deep within. Unless the answer comes from deep within, Master creates a situation for answer to emerge from deep within you. Not that answer that is imposed upon you. Any answer that is given from outside cannot help you to transform your life. But the moment the answer emerges from within you, that is what happens there. When during the physical act of male-female relation, something happens within the anatomy and physiology of the person, a growth begins within. Only that growth, out of that growth, a child can be born. In acting, in movies, we pretend to be pregnant, but nothing emerges out of that fake pregnancy. Giving the answers from outside is like a fake pregnancy. allowing the answer to emerge from deep within is like an inner growth. So the monk said, I have to look at the river. If the river is shallow, I can walk through the river to reach the other shore. Because you want to reach to the other shore, and between this shore where you are and the other shore where you want to reach, this is what this whole entire spiritual teaching is. You are at the shore of anger. How can you reach to the other shore where there is no anger? You have to walk through the river of life. Various stages that life presents on a day-to-day basis. If you have to walk from the shore of hatred or jealousy to the other shore where there is no hatred, where there is no anger, this is what entire spiritual teaching is. Teaching of the masters is. You want to reach to that. He said, I have to look into if the river is shallow, I can walk through the river to reach to the other shore. Buddha said, if you do not want, then he said, if the river is deeper and I know swimming, I can swim through to reach to the other shore. And if I do not know the swimming and river is deep, I can use the boat to reach to the other shore. Buddha said, if the person who is standing on this shore and want to reach to the other shore does not want to use any of these methods, what would you say to him? He said, that is ignorant. Buddha said, if that person want to sit down on this side and continue to chant his rituals, do his prayers, do hatha yoga, pranayam, and all these things, and feel that through this method he can reach to the other shore, is it possible? The monk said, that is not possible. Buddha said, this is my answer. He was wise. And when somebody is wise, very intelligent, wise means intelligent. And if you can convince his intelligence, he immediately transforms. So immediately this learned Brahman fell at the feet of Buddha. He said, accept me as you, accept me into your congregation, initiate me. And he was given the name of Mahakashyap. Such is the silent teachings of the masters. How to bring about transformation in an individual. Such was the ways and means of these two masters of the Naqshbandi Tariqat, popularly known as Lalaji and Chachaji, officially Ramchandra, Naqshbandi Sheikh Ramchandra Raziyallahu Ta'ala Anhu, Naqshbandi Sheikh Raghuber Dayal Raziyallahu Ta'ala Anhu. Only this much for this morning, until we meet again on another inward journey. Take care and